Hello, and welcome to Redefining the Significance of You Time for You, by you, because of you. My name is Denise Drinkwalter, and I am a midlife renewal coach supporting women worldwide to lean into and realize the importance of you. This channel aims to provide you, the viewer, with some takeaways that will help you shift, change, reevaluate, and or even become more aware of what is possible. We have a variety of fantastic guests sharing life experiences that have helped them become the incredible human beings that they are today. Every one of us has had that infamous free time in our lives where we frequently feel guilty, embarrassed, and sometimes even wrong for taking out time for ourselves. And we are here to help change that and support you to see what is possible for you when you take the time for you, by you, because of you. It is a pleasure and an honor to introduce Kiara Perkins Fernandez to our show today. Kiara's journey is a testament to resilience and transformation. Starting her career as a marriage and family therapist in 2009, she dedicated herself to helping others navigate their most intimate relationships. However, life had its own plans, leading Kiara through the challenging experiences of 2 divorces. These personal trials became a catalyst for profound self-reflection and growth. Determined to understand and overcome her own limiting beliefs and severe self-doubt rooted in childhood, Kiara embarked on a deep self-development journey. This introspection revealed subconscious patterns around relationship expectations and a weak self-concept. In 2020, Kiara made a pivotal shift, transitioning from therapy to life coaching. Today, as an empowerment and purpose coach, Kiara leverages her 15 years of therapeutic expertise and 4 years of coaching experience to empower others. She's touched the lives of over 100 individuals, guiding them towards greater self-awareness, helping them eliminate self-doubt, and freeing them from limiting beliefs about relationship. Kiara's story is one of courage and continuous growth, and we are absolutely thrilled to have her share her insights and wisdom with us today. So great to have you with us. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Denise. I love that intro. That was beautiful.
I've had people say, would you mind sending that intro to me? Because that was really interesting to listen. Is that me?
Yeah, it sounds
You.
amazing when you say it back like that. It's funny because as you go, well, as I have gone through life, it's just been like, okay, this is the next logical step, next logical step. But when you kind of take that 50,000 bird foot view and just look at like the highlights and the summary, it's like, oh wow, that's pretty amazing.
It really is, because it shows your ability to take what life has given you and use it to your advantage so that you come out stronger, more empowered, more robust, I'm going to say.
Yeah, yeah,
And I love how you're supporting others who have similar walking paths, disbelief, self-belief concepts, understanding that, yeah, I can just do this over here. Do you find that when people reach out to you, they have all of the stress and angst and just want it to disappear? Or what happens when people reach out to work with you?
yeah. So most of the people that reach out to me, it's because they're in some sort of pain and they have tried, usually they've tried other things. Like a lot of them have already been to therapy. They
Yep.
maybe even gotten coaching before, but they are just kind of spinning their wheels, like they don't know what's wrong with them, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so it's to the point where a lot of people are ready to just give up, and they get to that place where it's like, maybe this life is just life is not supposed to be good for me. Maybe I'm just supposed to kind of suffer through things, and this is just the best it's going to get. So when they reach me, I'm probably like their last hope, so to speak. And so I used to kind of shy away from really heavy topics because when I was younger, I had no concept of like how to manage those things. Because when I was 26, I got married and I had gotten my master's in marriage and family counseling, but I was like, I don't really know anything about marriage because I haven't really been in a lot of relationships. I didn't have a marriage before that, and I didn't have kids, so I just didn't know those things. And so having a book knowledge of something is very different from having a real life knowledge. And so that led me down a whole other path of self discovery. But having those self discoveries with myself made it more concrete. The book knowledge that I got, so it was all just kind of like a big melding of it coming together, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what makes sense now. And so even though people might read books or see, TV shows where they're talking about how to have a healthy relationship, when you actually get into the thick of it, it's like all that stuff goes out the window and you just go back into your automatic patterns from like childhood or seeing what your parents did and you default. And so that's what I was doing, a lot of defaulting and feeling like a victim of my life circumstances. And so getting into the driver's seat of your life, it's a lot easier said than done. But it gets to the point where it becomes more painful to imagine another day like that than it does to think about maybe I should just get some help. And so I think for some people getting to that rock bottom place, it's one of two things can happen. Either you can be launched into your rebirth, your renewal and rediscovery, or you can just kind of give up on yourself and say, well, I guess my life is just going to suck for the rest of my life. So
Right.
yeah, I tend to work with people who have gotten to that point. Yeah.
And do you find when you work with your clients and support them through their journey that it can take a really long time or it can take a short period of time, or is it dependent on the individual? How does that kind of unfold? Is there any scenario
Yeah.
you can share with us around that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's going to take however long it needs to take based on
Mhm.
where that person is at. So if they've never had therapy, never had coaching, they probably don't really know know certain concepts about themselves, like what are their values, how self-aware are they, what are their triggers, what are their beliefs about certain things. If they have no knowledge of those things, it's probably going to take a while because if you think about it, we've gone, I mean, most of the people that come to therapy are probably like in their late 30s, early 40s, 50s, and beyond. And so if you think about it, you've gone your whole formative years, you've gone to maybe college, you've really absorbed all these different types of belief systems, different patterns of thinking, different habits of thought, and things have become so normalized that they don't even seem off. They don't seem like
Right.
anything is wrong with them. It seems normal to suffer. It seems normal to be in pain. It seems normal to have complaining people around you and being in negative environments. And it's normal to turn on the TV and then the news at 4 o'clock and get sucked up in these stories of chaos and drama and trauma and static and baggage. And so until you stop and say, okay, wait a minute, I don't like this. Until you can stop and get to that point, you have to realize you've had decades of muck, really, just kind of
Yeah.
caked on. So I look at it kind of like a camera with filters. Like sometimes we have so many different filters on our lens that we don't even know that our vision is distorted. And so when you're looking out the window, you're thinking, "Oh, the world is a muddy, dirty, disgusting place, and we're supposed to be afraid all the time." But until you start to wipe off those layers, then you can really see the beauty. But if you're not able to see the beauty, it doesn't mean it's not there. It just might mean that you have some layers that need to be cleaned off first. And so, yeah, I think that there are so many different ways you can do that, but it's kind of just like peeling layers of an onion. It's one step at
Right.
a time, and it's a gradual process. So I think a lot of people want to find that quantum leap, that overnight success, that quick magic pill. And I would love to say that we have those tools. And I mean, there are tons of tools in psychology and therapy and with coaching. But I think to just look for the magic pill is kind of bypassing the process. And this is really about evolution. And so when you really
Yeah, I love
come
that.
down to it, it's like, would you really want to expedite the process if it's going to mean you're going to miss all these different lessons along the way? Because whatever's not really learned, it's going to repeat itself because it's giving you the opportunity to really learn and embody it on a cellular level. And so until you can do that, then it's like, really, does the speed matter the most? Is that the most important thing? And so I think that's probably the biggest question to ask. It's like, what are you really looking for here with transformation? Is it speed or is it depth?
And do you find that people, when they connect with you, they think they want it fixed and fast because they're tired and they're done? Or do you find that it's a mix? Like, I'm just ready, help me.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you find?
I think it's more of a mix, and I think people have more of an understanding that it is gonna take some time.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I do have a 12-week coaching program, and I think that that is a good time to get clear on certain concepts, but to expect a complete 180 in every area of your life, that might be a little bit unreasonable. And I think it
Hmm.
can also set you up for, um, a little bit of like, what's the word? Maybe like beating up on yourself if you don't get the full complete transformation in a certain time frame, because everyone goes on like social media and you see the highlight reels and you think, "Oh, I need to be a millionaire yesterday." Like, what's wrong with me? Because I'm 40 and I don't have $1 million or a yacht or, a six pack. And so it's easy to go into that shame spiral where you start to think something's wrong with you. But I think at the end of the day, if you really stop and think like, okay, there's no real emergency. It's more just about having that self-compassion, being empathetic to your situation, and really saying like, okay, I'm gonna take however long I need to take, but this is going to be something that will serve me and maybe my family for years to come if I do it in a pace that's manageable.
Yeah.
So,
And the topic of our show, it's for you, by you, because of you, right?
mhm,
And so you're the only one who can do this work when you step into a commitment for yourself and start to do this next journey.
mhm.
Then you're doing it for you, you're doing it by you, and you're doing it because of you. Do you find at all that anybody who comes into conversation with you or in working with you has trouble focusing on themselves around that lens? Is that a
Yes.
problematic situation?
Yeah, yeah. I see it more with women, way, way more with women.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's really unfortunate because a lot of women are we're so ingrained and socialized to be people pleasers and serve others and put others before ourselves. Like I remember distinctly when I was a kid, there was this book my mom used to read to us called The Giving Tree. And that
yeah.
book was it had a beautiful message. It's like when you love somebody, you give to them. And this tree literally gave to its own detriment. Like it was a stump at the end, not to spoil it. But it was like kind of traumatic to me
Yeah.
when I read it as a kid. And I was like, I didn't like that story. And as I became an adult, I reflected on that story and I began to think like, what is it that made that tree sacrifice itself for the kid? And the idea was love. This is what love looks like. This is the idea. You're supposed to give, give, give until you basically have nothing left to give. And the idea is that if you don't do that, you're selfish. And so the program becomes I cannot put myself first because if I do, I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to not be loved. I'm not going to be of value. I won't have uh, any reason to live basically and as a female. And so I think when we become moms, it's like we naturally go back into this place of selflessness and as though it's a virtue. And of course you don't want to abandon your family or leave your kids starving in the street, but what happens to yourself in that process if you find yourself putting yourself on the back burner, not taking care of yourself? You are literally no good to anybody if you're
Yeah.
depleted. And so you that saying when you're on a plane, you put your own mask on before others. But in our real lives, we do not practice that. it's so hard. And then there's this whole program of I must please others in order to be loved. And then you realize at the end of the day, when you're sick and drained and depleted and people are still just asking more from you, like, was it really worth it?
Mhm.
What do you have to show for it, you know?
And I love what you're saying here because that's exactly why I started this show,
Yeah.
because we as women do put ourselves not even on the list, not even on the list. We're not even on that list of things to do.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I talk about, and one is when you go to summertime, right? So a lot of more
Mhm.
potlucks happen because the weather is suitable for such. So I witness, even to this day, women in the kitchen putting it all together, women making sure the children get fed first, the gentlemen go next, and the women go last. And I'm like, it's just something that is almost, it's not intuitive, but it's counterintuitive for women to step up and fill their plates at the same time as children. I know it's a kind of a, well, that's just a tiny little thing, but I think it's a really big thing in the big picture, because something as simple as getting your meal in a
Mhm.
big gathering, we go last. And why do we do that? It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It's a representation of how we live our lives in everything. And our conversation here today will help women to see when we do that, just like you said, we drain ourselves and then there's nothing left. And then
Mhm.
when people really need us, then what? They
Mhm.
are learning dependence,
Mhm. Mhm.
service. And when we do that, we're giving a huge disservice in the end, because they're going to continue to need us. And
Mhm.
that's not what we want to do. We want to create
Right.
independence. We want to create growth. We want to create expansion. And it's just one of those things that you're right, it's hard to do, but let's not make it hard anymore. Let's start small, tiny steps. I
Mhm.
talk a lot about every day. Take time out for yourself every single day. Start small, even if it's a minute at a time. Nobody anywhere near you. You do you for a full minute and see how that lands for you, and start to add it
Mhm.
together day by day. Just start small,
Yeah.
because, yeah, just we're burning ourselves out. And then when everybody's gone and children leave the nest and whatever happens in life, then we're okay. Now, what do I do? And we're lost.
Right.
We shouldn't be lost. We get to live our lives. So let's
Yeah.
start doing it all along. But it's a journey, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I think you also touched on something too as a parent. It's interesting because your identity becomes mom, and if you're married, your identity is now mom, wife, and maybe sister, daughter. And at some point, you lose yourself in those identities. And then when the kids are gone, and God forbid you get divorced, but when things change and your identities based on those relationships change, then the question is becomes you're now left with you. And so who are you? Who are you really? And so what I've seen is a lot of women don't have a sense of fulfillment even in
Yeah.
their roles as moms. And I've seen a lot of women feel like shame and guilt
Mm.
about this. Like, I've got babies, I should be happy, I should be fulfilled. A lot of women don't have kids and they want kids. And so what's wrong with me? That's their thought is something's
Right.
wrong with them. But I think, what if it's just that there's more to your purpose than being just a mom or being
Mm-hmm.
just a wife? What if there's more? And so my big thing is the real solution to things like depression, it's not pills or self-medicating with alcohol or escaping with fantasy books. I love, fantasy
Yeah.
books, but I think the real solution is purpose. Because when you feel purpose, you feel meaning and fulfillment in doing something that's beyond a role that's assigned by a relationship. Because like you
Mm.
said, when the kids grow up, they're going to be thankful, hopefully. But if they're not, then you don't need to be resentful to them because you've still found other ways to fulfill your meaning, your sense of meaning and
Right.
your sense of purpose. And I think this can go for men too. Like I used to work with a guy, for example, who felt purposeless because one of his kids passed away, unfortunately.
Mm.
And he felt like that was his whole purpose, was to be a dad. And maybe it's true, but I do think there could be more to your life than just being a parent. And so if that role does shift, then what else is left? And I do think there is something left, but we really got to investigate, what is it that you enjoy? What lights you up? Do you have hobbies? And if you don't know those things, this is a perfect opportunity to explore, because nothing's wrong with having something outside of your family. You don't need to feel guilty or shameful about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting. I had a conversation the other day, and we were talking just exactly about what we're talking about now. And the question I like to ask my clients is, when was the last time you remember being you? Not the mom, not the sister, not the daughter, when do you remember the last time being fully 100% you?
Mhm.
And that is a great, um, interesting conversation that people take a lot of time to process and journey through,
Yeah.
because, like you're saying, when we start to identify ourselves through the roles that we play, even the way that we speak about, oh, we ask, what do you do? Not, who are you? We can change
Yeah.
the script by just the way we ask questions, right? So,
Yeah.
so much good stuff that we're talking about today. It is such robust conversation and such great content. I'm wondering if you could give us a number one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who struggles with actually loving themselves, because I think that's what we're talking about here. When we
Mhm.
love ourselves to the depths of the earth and beyond, not egotistically, but way deeper, what would you suggest? What's your number one advice?
Well, I think self-love comes down to, for some people, it's a surface level thing, but I think self-love comes down to when everyone else is outside of me, do I like me? So usually people will say things like, "Oh, I'm in a relationship, and so I want to make sure my husband likes me or loves me. So I'm going to do things to please him. I'm going to meet his needs. I'm going to make sure I'm fulfilling him." Or same thing with our kids. We want to make sure our kids like us, so we do things to make them happy. We buy them toys. We take them places, and all of that's beautiful, because we want to sustain relationships outside of us. But when we think about our relationship with ourselves, a lot of times people neglect things, like I said before, like your purpose. People don't know their purpose. They don't know what they like. They don't know their hobbies. And so this becomes a dance of, I need to feel validated by other people in order to feel worthy of existence. And so the dance becomes, if I contort myself in this way, will you like me now? Or if I perform in this way, will you like me now? If I get this grade, will you like me now, teacher? Or if I behave this way, mom and dad, will you like me now? And it's always a question of, who will like me, who will love me, who will show me attention, who will validate me. And so rather than putting the lens and the focus and the obligation on outside influences to validate us, the journey really becomes, how do I validate myself? And one of the best ways to do that is, how are you filling your cup? And so to me, like, I love self discovery, I love personal development, I love reading, I love writing, and those things fill my cup. And I've noticed, when I don't have a chance to write or do what I love for a long time, like maybe a couple days or a week, I start to become more bitter. And I didn't make
Mm-hmm.
this connection until like years later. And I realized, I have to do things that nourish me from the inside out. I have to, because if I don't do it, I'm going to start snapping at people almost
Yeah.
like unconsciously. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do that. But it's like, I'm in a way punishing people outside of me because I'm not taking care of me. And then I'm going to use them as a replacement for my own lack of self love, and I'm going to make it their fault when they're not validating me, rather than making it my opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to get back in my own driver's seat, because I'm sick of giving the wheel over to so and so, or my boss, or
Yeah.
my teacher, or my parents, or my whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
it can be kind of challenging to have that mindset shift, because we are not really taught to think that way. Like in
No.
school, we're taught to get good grades, we're taught to please others, to perform, to excel for the recognition. And that's where we're getting our validation from that praise. And so it's kind of like we have to really orient ourselves now to feeling our cup fulfilled from within. And that's not necessarily
Mhm.
intuitive or easy. But if you look at little kids, like kids under 5, they know how to do it. And so like I have a 20-month-old and a 6-year-old, and I love watching them because they will find ways to have fun, to entertain themselves, and they don't care about me. They don't care about what I'm thinking. Like my daughter, sometimes she'll look at me, but she'll go off and do her thing anyway. Like she'll get the markers and like paint her face. Or she'll like put them on her hands and just like put them on paper. And she doesn't care how she looks to me. She's not looking
Yeah.
for my approval necessarily. She's just doing what feels good to her in that moment. And
Mhm.
so I think tapping back into like your inner child, giving yourself permission to play, giving yourself permission to really just get back into that place where you're imagining and kind of wandering, and not looking at that as frivolous, but looking at that as, this is my opportunity to just kind of reconnect with myself
Yeah.
and get back to my own values, my own belief systems, and really think for myself and love on myself. Like you're so much more of a gift to others when you are happy. And I think this idea of happiness is it's a very external pursuit for a lot of people. Like, oh, I'll be happy when,
Yeah.
or I'll be happy if I have this thing. But if you can find a way to tap into that internal intrinsic happiness that you had as a kid, like wow, how much more fulfilling will your life be and your relationships, because people will know, oh, I don't got to please her. I don't have to perform for her because she's already got it figured out, and I can just breathe and just be
Yeah.
myself around her. And I think those are the best kind of friendships, right? When you know you can just go to your friend,
Mhm.
no agendas, no
Yep.
expectations. You can just show up as you are and know that there's no judgment. It's just, those are the
Yeah.
best kind of relationships. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love you've covered so much so beautifully. I love how you put together the relationship, and I love the concept of relationship to self. That is foundational, and understanding who we are as a person, not by the roles. And you talk about values. You talk about finding your inner child.
Mhm.
Think about what you used to do as a kid.
Mhm.
What did you love to do? And did you do it when anybody was around, or did you do it on your own? Like, what brought you that joy? That's a great tool to tap
Mhm.
back into, to remember who you were. Still all there. It's
Mhm.
just hidden. So I
Mhm.
love play. I love what you're talking about. This is amazing. I love your work. I love your energy. You've got a calmness, a genuine nature that is so beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
we do have in our show notes how to contact you, and I believe you have something for the audience as well. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yes, I do have a couple of free resources on my website. So, I primarily work with people who are aspiring entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people who have passion projects they want to put out into the world, and also high achievers. So, people who want to get to the next level in their careers, but they're feeling held back by certain beliefs or doubts. So, I have a guide. It's a pack of 5 scripts that you can use to kind of talk yourself out of a place of negativity. So, like if it's imposter syndrome, self doubt, fear of failure, comparing yourself to others. It's walking yourself through the negative mindset, the negative beliefs into a neutral place and then into a positive place. Because a
Mm,
lot of people want to do like affirmations, but for some people, affirmations just don't really stick. And so
yeah,
this is a good way to kind of get the ball rolling, because you can't just jump into positivity from complete negativity. So this is kind of like a process of how you can learn to speak to yourself in a gradual way to get to that positive affirmation. So the way you can access that is to go to go.positivescripts.com/doubt. Um, and then when you click on that link, it'll take you to the just sign up, and then you can book a call with me after that if you'd like. But otherwise, you can just have access to the free PDF.
perfect. And that is a live link in our show notes, so people can grab that. And also, your website is there. I doubled that up. So they've got the two options. Um, something that you brought up was around values, and I wanted to share with the audience the book that I have, which is a guided journal for empowered women, and it helps pull together you. And so in this book, I do a weekly overview, and in the weekly overview, I get women to think about their values. What are their values? Because you've brought that up a few times, and I'm here smiling, going, yes, we don't talk about that either. It's like, oh, I just borrow this one and that one, but it doesn't really resonate with who you are as a person. So you focus on certain values during the week, and then who can support you. And then the other thing that really a lot of people who've been giving me feedback on this, they love it because on their to-do list, what is going to benefit you directly on your list of things to do? And a lot of women go, well, the to-do list is not really about me. It's okay. So how are you going to flip that and get your name and your priorities on that to-do list, like we talked about in our session today? Because we want to make sure that you look after yourself and take time for yourself, give that self-love, limit those beliefs that are not serving you anymore. Make sure that you check the show notes and connect with Kiara. You mentioned you have 12-week program. Do you have other programs that you do as well? Or is that something that happens on a regular basis? How does that work? Just for
Yeah,
our
so I have
listeners.
the 12-week program that I have, it's a one-on-one. The other option that I have for some people, if they're not quite ready for that in-depth level of personal work, I do have another option, which is a personalized subconscious reprogramming package, which basically what I do is I get your number one most difficult or painful mindset issue,
Mhm.
and then I give you a basically kind of like a 30-day roadmap of how to work with yourself on a daily basis to kind of get through that. And it also comes with a personalized meditation. So you can listen to that meditation,
Oh,
go through the package, like the daily action steps to help yourself kind of get onto the path of where you want to go when it comes to that one specific issue. So that's the other
I
option that
love
people can.
that.
Mhm.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Make sure that you reach out and connect with Kiara. Go check out her website, check out that free gift. Thank you so much for your time and your gifts and your knowledge sharing with us today. And if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, make sure that you do. Do you have any parting words you would love to share with our audience today, Kiara?
Yeah, I think I would just love to say that make sure you are being the love that you seek. It's
Ooh,
out there. Be the love that you seek in others.
love that. What a great ending. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day and make sure you subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss any more of these golden nuggets. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.